Welcome to the Experts and Expats podcast. I'm Jeffrey Jones.
And I'm Michelle Hippler. We're co-founders of the Living Abroad Academy. We focus on the information Americans need to plan a move to Europe on a faster timeline than the one we experienced.
We cover all the best visas to explore, along with financial and social considerations that will help you determine what country
or countries
might be the right fit for you and your circumstances.
Absolutely. A country might look great on paper, but not turn out to be what you expected. So we talk to expats about their experiences and experts about their particular expertise in their country.
All with a goal to get you as much information as possible to make an informed decision.
So today we have John and Tara with us. John and Tara are a retired couple who moved from Chicago to a small village in the La Marca region of Italy. La Marca has a population of less than 1,200, so that is a huge population density difference for you guys, huh? They've been married for 38 years, which is another huge accomplishment, frankly.
Yes, congrats.
And they are aunt and uncle and great aunt and uncle to several nieces and nephews, both blood related and otherwise, and they're also odd parents to a little 6-year-old.
Before retiring, Tara worked in operations, both as an employee and consultant, and John was self-employed as an audio engineer and guitarist, which it sounds like you still do, John, as a hobby. So that's nice. Welcome to Experts and Expats, John and Tara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So I've only recently met John and Tara myself, but I was connected to them through my sister, who has known John for a very long time through her college days at Illinois State University in Bloomington, or Normal, I can't remember which one. And John, I'm thinking I may have actually met you, crossed paths with you during that time in the 80s on one of my many weekends there. I'm not sure. I don't remember. It's been too long.
Quite possibly. It was a long time ago. I'm still working on what I had for lunch.
Right. So we've briefly talked already about your experiences, but I just want to really dive in and kind of hear your story again for our audience. So why don't you guys just start with telling us what is your current living circumstances there? You're retired, right? But John, you're still doing some audio and guitar stuff, but just tell us a little bit about your life there in Italy.
Yeah, we're retired. I am retired. I'm recording and playing guitar all the time, but I'm just kind of doing it for myself. And I'm not doing it for money, or I don't have to scramble, because I've always recorded other people, and it's really nice to just wake up and do my own thing.
It's been super cool because before we left, John made sure that all of his friends were set up to record remotely. So he'll record things and spend all day in the studio. He'll send things over to his friends and say, hey, put drum tracks on this, or send it to the keyboard player and say, hey, put keyboard tracks on this. And then, a day or two later, then he'll get more music in, and then he just keeps inventing and developing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's really cool.
Very cool.
Are these people you're working with in Italy, or are they in other parts of the world?
Other parts of the world. I have a few Italian friends here that are musicians.
They're in Chicago area, John, is that it?
Yeah, mostly in Chicago.
Well, in the suburbs, and some people from different states, and he even works with people here in Italy.
Oh, okay.
Nice. That's great. Remote work,
Very cool. So how long have you lived in Italy then?
We have been here almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in January, so we're still newbies.
Right. Do you think the honeymoon period is over for you guys there?
I don't know. I still say, like, we'll start our day, and I'm just like, let's just go home, because I still feel like I'm on vacation.
Nice.
That's great if that keeps going.
Yeah, but when you have to do all the bureaucracy and all the paperwork and, all of that stuff, it does not feel like vacation. It feels like being in a foreign country attempting to find out how the system works. And I don't know, I find that part exciting because it's part of the adventure. I think John likes to call those challenges sometimes.
I like to ignore them.
Right.
That's why we're good partners.
That's a great attitude, Tara. It's funny. I started an Italy process, and I'm familiar. It was a few years ago I started researching it. And this is a great moment to talk about what that process was like. And also what led you to Italy. I almost made that decision too, yeah.
I would say that it was a little crazy. My husband called me at work about 20 years ago and said, hey, want to move to Italy? And I'm like, hey, we've never been there before. And he goes, so? I'm like, all right, let's figure it out, dude.
Brilliant.
And then I ignored him for about 10 years about it. And then about 10 years ago, he was like, I don't know, I'm really serious, like with everything that's going on and my history and everything, let's just go. And I said, well, okay, there's a lot to figure it out. So about 10 years ago, I started researching and started my, beautiful Excel spreadsheets that John loves to ignore.
Right.
But
that's the operations person versus the creative person, right?
Exactly. Hey, I wouldn't want to be married to me, so I'm super grateful that he's here. And plus, he pushes me. I'm not a risk taker. I'm Virgo oldest daughter. I mean, we'd still be in our first apartment with shag carpeting and earwigs if it weren't for him. So he comes up with the ideas. I'm, like the entrepreneur dude that he is. And then I go forward and figure everything out. And then it was a lot because there's nothing that's really black and white at all. I looked at blogs. We followed Facebook pages, which can be interesting and the truth and not the truth.
Yeah.
Followed some people on Instagram. But there were some interesting blogs, stuff about the U.S. treaty but we had no one to talk to about it, really. So you just kind of pieced together. I started putting steps together based off what other people were saying or maybe videos they were doing. And then he started looking at houses because we had to have a house or we had to have a place to live.
And that was before the €5 home, right? Or the €1 home or whatever it is. There's been a big, media buzz about that.
Yeah. Plus, we were not interested in those areas. And we also knew that attempting to find workers or get the work done in the amount of time that they wanted it done, there was no possible way. We wanted to make it as easy as possible. And by the way, like buying a house is so much easier than buying a car here, by far. Because they tell you, you can't run a house over a person and kill them.
Right.
I think you already mentioned some of the reasons why. Were there any other reasons why you left the U.S.?
Originally, my father was Italian, so that was kind of impetus to come here.
But he never talked about it. He never told John that he was Italian, like John found out in high school. But I think that it kind of just embedded in his brain.
Yeah, I have an Irish last name, and it's a long story. But my father was in an orphanage in New York, and it was an Irish orphanage, so they changed his name.
John's real last name is Lombardi.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So did you go in on the ancestry visa then, or did you go another route?
Also very complicated. I had some birth certificate problems and naturalization problems, so we came in as retired elective residents here, which is very tricky, and we ended up getting that with a lot of Tara's hard work.
Oh, and John's patience.
And I just signed some stuff.
That's nice. That's so odd, though. Like, you actually had a parent. I mean, that's like the easiest way to get a passport is if your parent is from some of these EU countries, but you didn't go that route.
Yeah, we couldn't go that route because he was in an orphanage with his other brothers and sisters, and his birth certificate does not exist at all. So we think when he was born or went into the orphanage, which by the way burned down, that they lied about his name and they may have lied about his date of birth.
Yeah, my family was very strange coming up with stories about my father was born in 1907, and it was a long time ago, and a lot of family stuff with a lot of stories because they're all dead. His whole family.
And the orphanage burned down, so we don't have any records. And we were told he was born in New York, and we looked at every single birth certificate, the year of, 10 years, 5 years before, 5 years after. We had 2 genealogists go after it to see, and they were like, we have never come across a dead end like this. So again, we think someone lied about his name, someone lied about his birth date. He was even in the Army, and they have nothing.
Well, one thing that we found was becoming an elective resident is a lot of paperwork, but it gets you almost everything citizenship does. It's really close.
It's just a lot harder.
It's just a lot harder. And I mean, you can do almost everything you can with citizenship. You can with elective residence, except driver's license.
No, you can't. Well, let's back up a little bit. You can't do everything with citizenship. You can't, because we have residency. You can't vote. We can't vote.
Yeah. But as far as voting, but as far as living here.
Oh, yeah, with health insurance and everything.
And that's called elective residency.
Yes. So with elective residency, we had, I think, how many consulates, Chicago, how many consulates are there, Italian consulates?
4.
And he thinks 4. But it's, you have specific things that you have to show, and they have to be exact. And it's very interesting because if you read blogs or anything, different consulates can kind of make up different rules on different days.
Yes.
So we got our elective residency in December of 2022, and I've been watching blogs and Facebook pages, and I'm so surprised at how many people have been denied.
Oh, really? Do they say why? Is it just the consulate has weird rules like that are different, or is it income, or do you know?
Yeah, so some things that I have read, like my friends actually got a letter back that told them why, some people we met here. So she was able to fix it. But some of the blogs and other social media pages that I was reading, they just sent them their stuff back. No letter, no nothing at all.
Wow. I'm just wondering if that's going to be more and more common with some of these European countries, because there's going to be such an influx of people, I think, since this election. People who have never considered living outside of the U.S. are now saying, I want to look into it, you know?
So it sounds like you did this on your own. Did you get an attorney, or did you have any side support?
So in Chicago, we did not, but with our attorney that we had to purchase our house, she was willing to assist with our elective residency once you got here. Because once we were approved, I'm looking at John, make sure I go through the steps. Once we were approved in Chicago for the elective residency, when you get here, you have 8 days to file what they call the yellow packet. And you have to fill out this huge yellow packet. So she did all of that for us, which was awesome because it's in Italian, of course. And when you get here, because you only have 8 days, you have to file the yellow packet with some coupon from the tabaccaria, which of course we didn't know where anything was. And then you have to go to a specific post office that handles the yellow packets that can make the appointment at the questura for you. So she was amazing because she filled everything out. We went in and we met her, and she's like, sign this. We're going to the post office. We went to the post office, which was in the middle of somewhere, again, we probably would have not found. We know where it is now. And then filled everything out. And then we had to pay a fee, if I remember correctly. And she picked up the little coupon from the tabaccaria for us. And all the ladies in the post office knew her, made our appointment, and then we were good to go. And then that was in January when we moved here. And the appointment at the questura was in Macerata, which the questura, what's the definition of the questura?
It's immigration.
And so you have to go there. So the appointment was in May, and it's at a specific time, and all the blogs and everything say, do not go at the time of your appointment. Go 2 hours before the door opens, because it's a free-for-all. There will be all these people standing there. You have to go in line and get I call it the deli tab, the little counter tab. Yeah. And because we didn't know, didn't know any Italian except I'm hungry and where's the bathroom. And John was just like, I don't know how comfortable I am yet. We had a young guy that we met who spoke fluent Italian, and he went with us.
Nice. So you arrived in what month, and you had that appointment when?
We arrived in January, and the questura appointment was in May. And I've been reading again that in the bigger cities that a lot of these appointments are 9 to 10 months out. And you have to reapply for if you get a permesso di soggiorno after that, you have to reapply every year unless they're kind and give you a 2-year.
Which they gave us.
That's
nice.
great. Yep.
Did they know of your ancestry? Was that a part of or when you decided you couldn't get that, did they know that you were Italian descent with your Irish name?
No, they don't. Unless you're bucking for citizenship, they don't really care. And out of all the expats we know here, we know, two people of Italian descent. It's like not many people are Italian.
Okay. So you never considered a different country, ever. It was always going to be Italy. Like 20 years ago, you knew you wanted to be in Italy, right?
Yeah, and then when we came here and started researching towns and stuff, it became pretty clear that that's where we like the quality of life here.
But he's so cute because we only came here 3 times. And then we moved on the 4th time.
Wow.
So in hindsight, I mean, it sounds like it went pretty smoothly and you had some great, like, I'll say lucky or blessings, right? Some breaks there but would you do anything differently if you did it again, or would you advise people to do something differently?
I don't know. I mean, we kind of, things really happened quickly. We probably wouldn't have jumped on this house, and we love our house. We have a lot of work to do on it, but we probably wouldn't have jumped on it. But when we were looking, the euro to dollar ratio was pretty high, and then the euro dropped right when we found this house to almost parity, and then we were like, well, we should probably do this right now.
Yeah. And when you say things went smoothly, it's so stressful. Like when we sent in everything, because if you make an appointment to get citizenship, I think Chicago right now is 2 years behind. We've had a friend who's been trying to get his for 6 years. We had another friend who tried, I don't know, for 14 or 15, and he never got his, and he's Italian. And I wouldn't say it's smoothly. I would say it's kind of intense. Like with us, we had to send in everything in the mail, and including our original passports, our original driver's license, all of your finances, nothing can be redacted. I mean, it was absolutely nerve-wracking. It was freaky.
Yeah.
And then you have to buy a one-way ticket to prove to them that you're going. So we got our approval. It was 25 days before our ticket.
Right.
So you have to pretend you're moving.
Portugal.
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah. That sounds like Portugal, like kind of the intent. You have to send in your passport. It's all through the mail, and then you wait, and then it's like, then you got to go. Like, yeah, that's really stressful.
And you don't know if you're going to be a 3 month on, 6 month off person, because there was a really good chance that might have happened, but we got, everything fell into place.
That's great.
Do you remember, I wanted to ask if there were a lot of options when you were looking for visas? Because, now there's the digital nomad for Italy. There's the golden visa. I don't know if that was an option when you were going. I think they've expanded the visa programs. Did you feel like there were a lot of options, or you were like, well, it's really just that?
When we were looking, I did not feel like there were a lot of options that we would qualify for. But to your point, in the last, I would say, year and a half, there have been several more since COVID.
Yeah, we're doing a product now called the Country Finder, and we're looking at 10 countries, and it seems to me, the research we did, that Italy has the most options. It's like very overwhelming how many options they have now.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that. I knew of 2 options, 3 options.
But I'm the paperwork chick, so we just, when we were talking about it, I would discuss with him the options that we were qualified for, because yeah.
Oh yeah.
But to your point, Jeffrey, a lot more came about after COVID, mostly in the last year and a half.
And that's the thing, is people only look at the criteria that's relevant to them anyway. There may be 8 options, but there's only 2 really legitimate, possible ones, for depending on what your situation is. Everyone's got a different situation.
And to our listeners, I saw yesterday that Italy's very quietly expanding the opportunities for healthcare workers, foreign healthcare workers to move in, because they're struggling with that. Yeah.
Because their healthcare workers are leaving for more lucrative countries, right?
There's increasing
better pay.
elder population in Italy.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's move on now to the experience, your life experience there. What was life like in those first few months? Let's just talk about the first few months when you arrived cold from the U.S. Some language skills for John, almost except hunger and bathroom for Tara. Why don't you talk a little bit about your first few months in Italy?
Oh, yeah. Well, the first thing, a friend of mine told me, and he speaks Italian too, and he told me, he goes, one thing you learn when you speak Italian in the U.S. and you learn it, you get to Italy and you don't know Italian.
Right,
It's Yeah, you know Italian, you think you know it, and then you get here and it's a whole different deal, and people talk very quickly, and you have to tell them to speak slowly a lot more. The first few months here were rough for me because I was playing a lot, and I literally walked off a stage and moved into the middle of nowhere, and the silence was deafening.
You mean playing a lot of gigs in Chicago, you mean?
Yeah, and being very involved in all that in the city, and lots of bands, lots of musicians, lots of movement, and then you come here and it's like nothing. But it wasn't nothing, it was just different, and it was very different. So it was like things I never experienced before, and I got over it in a few months, and then we keep going.
It was rough. I mean, so here's a perfect example of how things went the first 3 months. The first 2 hours in our house, we did not know that Italian doors, when you close them, automatically lock. So we locked ourselves out of our house in a town where no one knew us. We knew no one. And I spoke no Italian. I mean, I'm not going to get very far with, I'm hungry and where's the bathroom? And, it was, John was just like, what the heck? And I'm like, there's a resolution for everything. There's a resolution for everything. And it was very, very, very important. We had these people that we had been hooked up with through our realtor, that one of them lived in the United States 30 years ago, I think. And he hooked us up with her, and she's lived here for 30 years and had her son. So they were a main contact for us. And it was for me a security blanket, I think, as well as John.
Oh yeah, it was great.
So when stuff would happen, like that day, we texted them, because we could have gone into town, you go to the local bar, you start asking around, but we just texted her because we're like, oh my God, we just locked ourselves out of our house. What do we do? And I'm like, I know that I can break in, and I'm skinny and I can crawl through a window. And John's like, no. And she said, do you have 2 hours? And we're like, yeah. She goes, I'll figure this out. I'll text you back. 2 hours later, this lovely older gentleman spoke no English. We had no idea what he was saying. Shows up with, these, I'm just going to say it, a can of WD-40 and a piece of plastic, because the keys were in the door on the inside. So we lock ourselves out, completely freaked out. And then this man lets us into our house, doesn't know who we are, and says, you don't owe me any money. I don't want anything. Welcome to Italy. And we're like,
that's so nice.
Right. And you guys, that is one of the biggest things that we have found here is everyone is so kind and helpful and
that's great. Yeah.
Loving and giving. And, to John's point, like I knew no Italian, and people will talk with their hands to me or make motions or draw things or slow down for John. And it's so cute because like he's got these guys in the bar, and they'll all go just sit down and they'll slow down for him. And I don't know. It's just been so heartwarming and beautiful.
That's lovely. That seems more common in the southern areas of the planet in general. Like that sort of warmth and personality that's so more accepting than maybe some of the northern countries.
I think Italy has one of the best, like just people being very personable, invite you to their home for dinner. And, it's just, they're just very well, and it's small. I don't know, big cities are a little different, like Milan and Rome, but the smaller areas, very warm people.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, cities are cities, they're, my sister was coming here to visit, and she was so worried about the crime in Rome. And I'm like, you're coming from Chicago. Don't worry about it.
And we're in the middle of the country. It's all good.
It's pickpockets.
That's right.
But another thing here, it's like every person that works in the industries here, like the baristas to the bartenders to the wait staff, everybody like really, really cares about their job and really cares about how they present to you. And it's like, you don't get any attitude. You're like, well, this is different.
Wow. And there's not that whole, I'm going to withhold service unless I know you're going to tip.
Right. And they don't tip either, which is interesting.
Right.
Italy, like you were saying, Italy, Spain, and Portugal are the big ones right now. We just hope nobody comes here.
Right. Well, it's interesting because Jeffrey and his partner abandoned the Italy route and went with Spain, but they had very different reasons for doing that. But it sounds like you've really integrated, more than anyone that we've talked to so far, with the local culture. And John, didn't I hear also that you're playing with bands there in your community?
I'm not actively in a band, but I have musician friends and I go sit in, and I really don't want to get too involved in gigs and the gigging community, but I do want to write music with Italians, and I am doing that now.
He's making them. It's really awesome because they only do American covers and do a bunch of covers. And John's got this crew and he's like, I'm writing songs for you. You have to sing them. It's so fun.
Yeah,
wow, that's cool.
And I was worried about that too. I was worried. I'm not going to find anybody here.
That's great.
So Tara, how are your language skills now?
It depends on who you talk to. John just gave me a thumbs up.
Getting better.
So I can say more than I'm hungry and I need to go to the bathroom. I can order and make reservations, and I'm getting very good about being able to understand more conversations, but I'm not so great about putting sentences together. But every once in a while I'll throw some stuff out and John will give me the cute little thumbs up under the table. But it's very interesting because I don't know, I don't feel super uncomfortable. For example, I had to go to the car guy one night and John couldn't go with me. And as I'm driving there, I'm like, oh my God, I don't speak any Italian and he speaks no English. And then I thought, I can point, I can turn the car on, I can make motions, and we got everything discussed. He had to fix 3 things and we figured it out.
Yeah, that was me in Portugal.
It is scary when you come to things like the comune to discuss if we can put up a freaking mailbox. It's very nerve-wracking, but somehow you get your point across. Or going to the doctor. I haven't had to go to the Italian doctor yet. I did have to go to the emergency room one night because I wiped out down my stairs and had to have 10 stitches because I ripped my ear in half. Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
No.
But he actually spoke English. It was 3 a.m. and our doctor was Ethiopian, spoke fluent Italian because he lives here, and spoke English. I was so lucky. And even I wasn't nervous about going there at all because I'm going into an emergency room and they can obviously see that my ear is hanging off, right? They're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, it's interesting when you move to a new place, and I can give you my own stories from moving to Spain. There's highs and lows. And I think you already shared a kind of a low experience, like getting locked out of your house. And you're probably like, what are we doing? This is frustrating. But, there's also the high moments where you're like, we are so glad we moved here. This was right. Can you share 1 or 2 of those moments where you felt like something that validated that you made the right decision?
It happens a lot in the morning. We just get up and go on the deck and have coffee, and then we just literally start laughing. We're like, we live here, and we're not rich, so it's just amazing. I mean, are you in Barcelona or?
Yes, in Catalonia.
Oh,
yeah, Barcelona.
Awesome, beautiful. But it's just it's just a beautiful place, and you're just. Tara will ask me, she goes, do you think you'll ever get sick of this view? I'm like, when we lived in the suburbs, I didn't get sick of the view of the park. So, no.
Right.
Well,
based on where you are, we're picturing cypress trees and old churches, and it must be beautiful.
Well, you have an olive garden, or olive tree
we do.
Orchard, or it's not an orchard, what do you call that?
An olive grove. Yeah, we have 68 olive trees, and we did our first harvest this year. And although it was hard work, we have 55 beautiful green liters of olive oil to show you, and it's absolutely delicious and beautiful.
Nice.
We live in the mountains. There's a town of 1,200 people here, and we're about 35 minutes from the ocean, and we live in the mountains. It's pretty remote, which is why it was so quiet.
Wow. Right. And remind me, what's the nearest big city that you would go to?
Well, that big,
Rome?
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, there are medium cities. There's a city, Ancona, that has 100,000 people. That's an hour away. But Bologna is 3 hours away. Rome's a little more than 3 hours away. And Florence is 3 hours away. We're on the eastern Adriatic coast.
Okay.
So do you go back to the U.S. a lot? Are you staying connected with your friends and
Oh
family
yeah,
back
John.
there?
I mean, John's on WhatsApp more than any human being I know, but I think his little musician friends miss him more than anything. It's really seriously, he is texting or calling or video calling. It's awesome. He's got a big old family there. But yeah, this year was kind of insane. We called it the Travelanche. He went back to the United States 4 times. I had to go back 3 times. John played in Liverpool at Beatles Fest. It was my 60th birthday. We did York and London. I did with a friend. He went to Sweden and The Hague with a friend. We've had people here. We just dropped off the last person, Miss Hippler. Oh my gosh.
My sister was
So
just
fun.
there.
So easy. We had so much fun.
Oh, did you send her home with that olive oil? Because she's going to actually arrive here in her own house in about an hour.
She only could take a little bottle because she said she had so much weight where, if she would have given me her suitcase, I would have maxed it out, but I think she would have killed me.
Right.
Hey there, just a reminder that you can learn more about moving to Europe at livingabroadacademy.com.
Sign up for our newsletter and stay up to date on our latest podcasts, events, and more.
You can also submit questions and ideas for future podcasts on the website.
We appreciate you being a part of our community. Thanks again for joining us.
And now, back to the show.
So let's talk about the housing situation. You jumped on the house that you got because it was the euro, became attractive.
Yeah, we rounded
right?
out. We were looking at a few houses and tearing, like every house we have ever bought, we were, discussing it and the pros and cons. Me, it's when I walk in and if there's a place I could put a recording studio, it's a good house.
That's great.
We can even have a kitchen too, maybe.
Or a bathroom would be nice. Thank you.
That's great.
She needs to eat and find a bathroom.
Yes, those are my 2 main things.
The 2 things.
Well, see, that's her
really
2
easy to
things,
accommodate.
right?
Yeah. It's interesting that what you mentioned earlier about the exchange rate, it is, and this is a hurdle. Moving money around is a big deal when you're overseas. And when you want to buy a house, we're trying to buy a house. We're getting started in the process. And it is terrifying to move that chunk of money when you look at the exchange rates and all the fees. And there are people that can help you, but it looks like you guys did it at a great time.
We were super lucky. I had researched what I should use TransferWise, and our realtor at the time very much liked OFX. I, of course, liked Wise. It depended on what the dollar amount was that you could transfer, that the max was, and if there was going to be a charge. So those were also things that we researched because, as I'm sure you're finding, we had to put down a giant chunk of money way before we were going to close. And then you don't know what's going to happen with the market. So we had to budget based on what the euro was at that time, which was horrifying. And then what happened was they decided, our attorney got hold of us and she said, okay, the notary's only available on this date. And I said, that's 30 days before we were going to close. We don't sell the house for 30 days. But I had already worked something out. I'd already looked at worst case scenario, because that's who I am, and said to my, FA, what happens if this happens and we have to come up with this much money on this date before this? So we had already had a plan in place. And it's exactly what happened, but it ended up working to our advantage because the day that we had to transfer the largest amount of money was when we were at parity, which happened for a day, I think, Yeah,
Oh my
but I
gosh.
also have to say that we're super lucky because when we got here, everything that had been approved by I'm using air quotes, by our geometra in John's little studio area, they had said that it was livable and could be move-inable, and it wasn't. There was a lake in the middle of the room. 2 ceiling beams were falling down. There were 2 giant holes in the wall. That was another thing. I felt so bad. John walks into that. Not only do we lock ourselves out of the house the first 2 hours, he opens up what's supposed to be the studio, and it's horrifying. Mm-hmm. So you just never know. And you have to decide, is it a challenge or is it an adventure? Is it a learning experience or is it going to kill you?
Challenge.
No. Do you want to eat the entire cow all in one bite? Or do you want to cut it in little bite-sized pieces and chew on it and digest it? John's laughing his head off at me right now.
That's the operations speaker right there. That's totally operations.
Because everything has a resolution. You have a map and you have a goal, right? But you might have to go left, right, through the fork, backwards. You might have to dig a hole, build a bridge. But there's always some sort of resolution. It might not be what you had initially planned on. Might take longer, might take shorter. Yeah. And that's what's so nice. And I do have to say, I'm very, very lucky that I moved here with a partner and we're retired. Because there is no way in hell I would have moved into a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere with critters everywhere in the house and outside of the house if I were working full time. There is no way in the world. No way. I would live in a city with no car, with transportation, in something that was already done, already finished, with no critters.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a large part of what went behind me saying no to Portugal. I was there ready to pull the trigger, ready with all my paperwork to start the process. And I just, I was single, I was working for corporate America, and it was just not going to work. So it's all the situations, it's like, you sound like you guys just had a really great time. And maybe it's the mindset you got, Tara, you're there with your go-to attitude that no matter what the situation, it's all going to work out. You'll figure a way.
One of the biggest things I did is I came here with no expectations, nothing, absolutely nothing. So when I got here, everything was new and an adventure and things. I mean, we had things living in our house that would make crazy noises at night. And poor John's from the city. I mean, he's used to gunshots and screaming, but not from animals, I mean, it is very much a different mindset and a different attitude. And I'm very lucky that I was here with a partner who, first of all, made me come because I wouldn't have been here. And then I made him stay.
Right. That's teamwork.
There was one other thing I wanted to say before we left. When we first were leaving, it was a lifetime decision. 100% for me, a lifetime decision. And I'm just going to speak for John. There were some things that he was having some hard times with because he's got so much family, so many friends, so many band members. So we decided before we left that we would make it a 3-year endeavor because the first year sucks. The second year, you're starting to get your legs, you're getting used to things. The third year, you're kind of smooth and saily. Wait, smooth and saily? Sailing smoothly. So we decided that at the end of the third year, we would have a discussion. And then that's when we'll discuss whether we're staying or what else we'll do. I think I'm going to stay.
Well, I think because of, I don't know what's been going on in the United States. I haven't really looked, but what's been going on there, I think we're going to stay.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Because you're only on year 2, so you've got another year. And if you make that decision, you're going to end your days there in Italy, do you think? I mean, we can't all predict the future, but you're planning to end your days there. If you make that decision. Have you thought about that far in advance?
Oh, absolutely. We just, as a matter of fact, met with our attorney yesterday to discuss our Italian will because it's very different than a U.S. will.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We were talking about how in the U.S. you have to have long-term care and you have to have this and that. And here we know before we bought this house that we would not live in this house permanently because it's a lot of work. We will eventually end up moving into a little town or a little city. The older people, it's so cute. They live in our town. They are in walking distance. The fruit and veg lady guy comes, every Friday, and the fish guy comes on Thursday, and the market comes once a month. So all they have to do is walk into town, even though there are only 1,200 people here. We do have a little grocery store, a little farmacia, a little macelleria. Is that how I say it?
Yeah, that's good.
A little pastacceria. So even though it's a tiny, tiny little town, everybody can walk into town and do what they need to do, or it comes here. And that's what we're going to end up eventually doing. And then there's always, and I know this may sound morbid to some people, but there's always end of life choices in Switzerland, which is only a 2-hour flight away or a 9-hour train ride.
Yeah. What about death by pizza in Italy, right? I would pick that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Come on over, Jeffrey. We can help you with that.
Yeah.
But with our last question, most important one for most Americans.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we have there's a couple things. I'm sure you get these questions all the time. Americans are like, what are taxes? What about the healthcare? How would you rate the healthcare system, your experience?
Well, okay, I'm going to talk to one thing and John's going to talk to the other. When I did my wipeout down the stairs, which is everything I tell everybody not to do down my stairs, and I did it perfectly, it was amazing. I mean, you can call an ambulance and they'll come, but we decided to drive. We knew where to go. And so we drove there. You walk in, your ears hanging off. They know how to help you. The girl at the front desk, spoke a little bit of English. They were able to get us in very quickly, which kind of surprised me. And not only did I have an excellent guy who sewed me up, I had 3 follow-up appointments. He texted me for my follow-up appointments. He's like, it's been 5 days. You need to be here. Yeah. I never received a bill. I got a bill for nothing. I got no bill. God. I got nothing. Yeah. Emergency room appointment and 3 follow-up appointments. And it was 0. And what's so great about that story is right before we left for here, John hacked the crap out of his finger and had to get 6 stitches, and the bill was over $6,000 in the United States.
Oh my God. $1,000 a stitch.
So do you, if you don't mind me asking, can you access the Italian healthcare system?
Yes.
Or are you using private insurance? Yes.
No. So what we did was after we received our permesso di soggiorno, then we applied for our carta di identità. And then once we got our carta di identità and had to follow a million weird different steps because every single town is different, then we received our testa sanitaria. And to get our testa sanitaria as expats, we do have to pay a fee. So we have to pay a fee based on what we make in Italy, which is nothing. And then you have to go every single year and you have to apply and you have to take this form and then you have to pay for it and then you get your card. And so my issue, I did everything through my testa sanitaria through the public system. But John had a situation where we had to use the private system.
Yeah, I had a cyst on my wrist that was growing for years, and it started really growing here, and then it became really painful. And the minute I couldn't play guitar, it was time to do something about it.
Yeah. Well, Andy was going to Liverpool to play at Beatles Fest, and it happened a month before that. It was horrible.
So I went private, and the surgeon took care of me. It was really strange. The hospital rooms are strange. The waiting rooms are strange and very industrial, not industrial, kind of institutional. You go through and they're not pretty. But I went into the surgery room and they didn't knock me out for the surgery, but it was as good as the surgery, the OR where I had back surgery in the States at a very high end, goofy North Shore hospital. But they took care of me. For Italians, it was very expensive, but perfect job, perfect cut. Yeah. I mean, everything was great.
They even assigned him an English-speaking nurse just in case.
Wow.
Oh, that's nice. That's what a lot of people worry about. I've been struggling with that in Spain. I have to go to a special place because I need English. My spouse doesn't, but I do. So we go to different places. But that's tough, right? If you're healthcare, you really want to communicate what's wrong.
My thing with Italian is the only time I will default to maybe getting a translator is okay, if it's going to cost us a ton of money and I'm going to make a big, huge financial mistake here, let's hire a translator.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
right. Yeah. Did you go private for that, John, because of the timing? You just wanted it to get done and you knew that you could get it fast, or why did you go private with that situation?
Well, it was also my hand. So it's I've had way too many surgeries, but hand surgeries, I want, this could affect me playing. And then, if I can't play, I'm just going to take the train to Switzerland.
But also it was very much due to timing because they're surgeons and they're doctors. We've had friends here who this one guy, I mean, he's still got a leg because of his surgeon here, and he went through public. We've got a friend who had prostate cancer and he's had surgery and he went through the public system. We had a friend who had heart surgery. He went through the public system, totally great. But John was just like, this is timing. I don't want to deal with it. I know that I can get through this. This guy we knew through some friends who had knee issues. And it was just one of those things where John's like, I don't want to mess with the system right now. I'm going to this guy. And we went and interviewed him and he was amazing and John trusted him. So we were like, okay, done. And for $1,500, I think it was worth it.
Wow.
Well, that's not bad.
Wow.
Yeah, you think?
Not bad at all.
It would have been $15,000 in the United States with everything that they did. Private room, private surgeon.
If not more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
10%, everybody I talk to, it seems like 10% is about what they're paying. It's 10% comparison.
So final one, though. You had the question about the taxes, Jeffrey, right?
Yes. And that's, some people I've got friends that only care about taxes. They won't even ask you about healthcare. Like, what are the taxes? What has your tax experience been like in Italy?
Woo, okay. That is one that I will tell people because we just clarified some stuff. I'm not even kidding you guys this freaking week. It has just been, it's making me sweat think about it. I thought I had done enough research on it between blogs and expat sites and the treaty. And I really thought I had a great understanding. And then when we came here, we went and saw our commercialista, and that was the lady, who is the accountant here. We made sure that our accountant in the United States had experience with Italian taxes. He actually has dealt with some of his clients. And so he had a basic understanding. So when we met with her, when we first came here, we met with her in March. And she was like, oh, this, and this. And I was like, yay, this is so exciting. That's going to be so great. And then when we filed for our taxes this year, it wasn't even close to the same. And I was like, what did I do wrong? How did I mess this up? This cannot be right. So in a very nice Italian way, not in a Chicago or United States way, I was like, hey, maybe we're confused, shouldn't you be looking at this and this and this? And I just kind of kept going back. And she finally figured something out, seriously, last week that she didn't know, that she thought that she did know, that she went through her people about, and everything is great now. But for anybody that's coming over here, I would say whoever your U.S. accountant is, make sure that they know how to deal with stuff over here. Whoever you're going to work with over here, if you can interview 3 or 4 different people and make sure they speak English and make sure they work with American expats, if that's what you are, and make sure you have all of your questions and interview 3 or 4 different people, because interviews don't cost anything. And make sure that you are 100% on the same page,
Right.
And then go from there. Because I was in a world of hurt. I was really afraid that I had messed a lot of stuff up. In the end, I'm right, which is good. But if I hadn't done all that research and everything, it could have just been a disaster. And everyone's different. I mean, there is a gentleman I spoke to who is a friend of a friend, and this man has so much money that his taxes are going to be very different.
Right.
Yeah, that's tricky.
So it sounds like from that case that it's maybe more affordable for people who don't have a lot of money, tax-wise.
We also live in a 7% flat tax district, which was, it's a district that was affected by the earthquakes and is a certain population.
The 7%, the retirement tax places, what is it, 2,500 people in less in the town? Oh, 20. Yeah. There's the certain parts of Italy where the 7% is available and certain parts where it's not.
But there were a bunch of different steps that are not on the internet that we needed to follow in order to be eligible and qualify for this 7%. Those things are not clear. So just make sure you're doing your homework. If you can find somebody over here that will do your U.S. taxes and your Italian taxes, that's even better. But watch pricing, watch how you're working it, make sure you interview, make sure you have your questions, and freaking do your research.
John and Tara, it has been a pleasure talking with both of you today and hearing your story. Thank you so much for your time, and we wish you continued success. I mean, you guys sound like you have been just charmed the whole time there, or at least having the mindset of we have been charmed, right? So you get what you focus on. But anyway, we wish you the best for the rest of your expat journey.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And it's great to hear you guys doing the same adventurous stuff.
I know. I love it. I want to hear your guys' story. And by the way, if we can do this, anybody can do it.
Well, that's very encouraging.
Yeah.
You guys, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much for finding us interesting.
Well, thank you. We've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It will really help our listeners. So we really thank you so much.
Ciao. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, Benote.
Bye.